I think women innately have a divine gift of making the world truly a beautiful and peaceful place filled with love. But I feel women used to be a lot gentler with themselves. And when they were gentler with themselves, they then were able to spread that love and kindness towards other people.
Hello, welcome to Women Awakening. I'm your host, Cynthia James. I want you to know that this is a space where extraordinary women from around the globe step forward to share their wisdom, their courage, and their dedication to uplifting the well-being of women everywhere. I believe this is a time of women emerging, that we're living in a time of profound emergence, actually, where women's voices and visions and leadership are rising in powerful ways. I'm so grateful, deeply grateful to be a conduit, introducing you to these remarkable change makers and their stories of transformation, resilience, and impact. You can find Women Awakening on podcast platforms as well as video on YouTube. You just look for Women Awakening with Cynthia James, and please share these conversations, subscribe, and leave a review. Your reviews truly make a difference in helping us reach more women around the world. You can also go to my website, cynthiajames.net. I have a private community and lots of gifts and resources. So now I get to introduce you to my guest today. Her name is Margarita Kogan. She helps women who look like they have it all together but feel anything but that. Margarita Kogan is a licensed therapist and the creator of Honor and Heal, a healing service for women, unraveling the deep patterns of emotional trauma, toxic relationships, and self-betrayal. She has a background in clinical therapy and lived experiences. She brings a direct, grounded, and refreshing, honest approach to transformation. So if you've ever felt stuck, repeating the same emotional cycles, this is a conversation that might change everything for you. Hello, Margarita, and welcome.
Hi, Cynthia. Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited.
Well, I'm very grateful that you're here, and I really want to dive into your work, but I want to start with how you grew up and, did it impact what you're doing today?
Oh, definitely. Always a good place to start at the beginning. So I did grow up in a family that had some complexity to it. We did immigrate to America, et cetera, and that really changed the dynamics culturally and just within the family, how we interacted. So for me as a young child, I was really the peacekeeper. I was always taught to be the good girl who, whatever was going on in the home, to come to the rescue and really help out, whether that was my mom who was having a hard day to, whether it's getting food or helping her clean or just make sure I mitigated the issues that were in the home so that there were no negative impacts to everybody around. And it also went obviously to my father because he traveled a lot for work. So when he would come back, it was always, be happy and be cheerful and dad's home. So keep the environment just a lovely place to be. And growing up in that, I really learned that, you have to be the person who is kind, who is nice, who it doesn't matter what's going on for you, you help the other people feel better. And I think that really shaped the person that I became later on in life.
Yeah, and so do you think, not just in your family, but in the culture, that kind of expectation is something that supports women feeling stuck and unable to express themselves? I mean, do you think that has impacted the people you serve?
Yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head with that one because that is exactly what I see with women. And it doesn't matter if it's a stay-at-home mom or if it's a top CEO. Women come in and the stories they tell are, well, I did this because, and they frame it differently. But at the core of the conversation really is because I didn't want to make this person feel bad, or I didn't want them to feel like they didn't deserve the promotion. So I stepped back a little. I don't need the promotion right now. And it's that good girl mentality of constantly stepping back and helping other people at the sacrifice of yourself that
Mhm.
so many women carry around. Our whole society is built on this, truly, from what I'm seeing.
Yeah, well, I couldn't agree with you more. I work with leaders and teams, and there is this double standard for the feminine. You're supposed to be this way and act this way, and if you cross this line, then you're labeled.
Yes.
So, do you think that trauma, childhood trauma or trauma in your life shapes your relationships and your decisions as you move forward?
Well, that's the core of trauma. People talk about big T, little t trauma, and that is important. However, what we're not recognizing, or maybe we are, but we're not really working through, is that trauma changes the way you interact with your world. So if you take a person who does not have trauma and they experience something, they are able to actually process it, think about it, and then make a conscious decision as to what am I going to do with what has been presented. That also gives people the opportunity to tune into who am I as a person and what do I want from this experience. Now, individuals who have trauma, right, even little t trauma, your reaction to your environment is no longer from who am I? What do I want? It quickly falls into what has happened to me and how do I avoid that? And your brain then goes into reactive mode of, no, 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 we can't have this happen again. So we are going to make the choices. And that can present in so many ways. But a big one I see for women is in relationships and not leaving them or having a hard time leaving them because the fear of that initial probably trauma that many women have of abandonment is in the back saying, no, if you leave this person, you actually are getting abandoned. And so women just stay in these relationships that do not benefit them and actually really drag them down.
Yeah, well, and I want to talk about that because I had a traumatic childhood and that good girl syndrome that you spoke about. I mean, it was imperative for me to be a good girl and to
Mhm.
create peace at all costs. But what's the cost to the person who's doing that and suppressing all of those feelings and needs and desires?
Well, there's a couple of different ways to approach that. I think for, for women, one of the biggest things is you lose your voice and you lose yourself. And what I mean by that is you don't actually know who you are because you are functioning based off of what everybody else wants from you. And so a lot of women have come to this place that I've worked with. They'll sit on my couch and it's like, okay, well, what do you want? And they just have a blank look on their face because they don't understand the question. It's like, well, my child needs this and my partner needs this and work needs this. And well, what do you want? And they can't answer me. And that I think is the biggest thing. The other part of it is really when you suppress so much of what's going on for you emotionally, it hits your body, it hits your health. And then women start seeing things like whether it's autoimmune conditions or et cetera, et cetera. So that impact is not only you lose yourself soul wise because you don't know why you're here, why you're doing the things, but also health wise, your physical body starts to suffer from that.
Yeah. So, talk to me about your work. What kind of clients come to you, and do you have a process that you do with them?
Definitely. So in my program, so the program is Honor and Heal, and the reason it was created is really in my private practice, people were coming in, they're just like, I want to fix it. I want to heal. Let's do it. But everybody was skipping over the part of you need to honor what happened to you. This is like this is a part of your story. We're not deleting it. We're not getting rid of it. And it's really, really important to sit back and say, hey, look at this journey I've been on. Why have I been on this journey? Because I do believe we're all on a spiritual journey, however people see it. And it's a part of what we need to experience. And people kind of skip that step and they're either angry. A lot of it is towards their parents, right? Like, how could they do this to me? And so we turn the lens on that a little bit and we really look at your story and we honor what has happened and what you have gone through, right? And why could you have gone through that? Like, what did it teach you? How did you become the person that you are right now? And kind of accepting that, right? Kind of hugging that younger version of yourself into you through the acceptance. And then once we are able to do that, we transition to healing. So we work with the body, right? What is your body telling you? What are your surroundings telling you? That is the biggest thing that people miss is if you are in chaotic surroundings or the people that surround you are doing things that you are judging or you don't agree with, there's something going on for you internally. And so we start looking for the parts of you that are actually mirroring that for the outside world and showing you a reflection of what's going on inside. So their healing is really working on what's going on internally and how is that presenting externally. And then we learn some skills to fix it, to change it.
Yeah. So, the thing is, it's like, I'm so glad you brought in the body because so many people feel like as soon as they can figure it out,
Mm.
going to change. They don't realize that their body is responding to the trauma or the challenge just as much as the mind is. So I was reading your documentation and it said that you help people women remember who they are and how that supports them to become someone new. Tell me about that.
Yes, definitely. So that is really integral to kind of my belief system because people try to change all of these behaviors and become a new version of themselves. But essentially, you are already who you're supposed to be. It's just the things that, whether it's society, family, etc., has layered onto you beliefs of how you should look, how you should dress, how you should speak, the things you should like.
Yeah.
Right? And then women walk around saying, "Yeah, let's do this," or "I want to go here," or and they don't actually know intrinsically what they want. And so when I say coming back to yourself, it's really listening to that intuition within you, however it presents, right? So for some people, one of the biggest things women experience is really saying yes when they mean no, whether it's going to events or accepting certain projects or doing certain things where it's like, I really don't want to do this, but what we want to do is, okay, I don't want to do this. I feel that in my gut, like I have a tightening in my stomach where I do not want to do this. And learning to say, okay, if I choose not to do this, I am afraid that these will be the consequences, whatever those are. And then stepping back and saying, but I, as a human being, as a woman, do not want to do this. And so I'm choosing to not do this. And however those consequences come, I will embrace those and that journey. Does that make sense?
Oh, it makes a whole lot of sense. Um, I want to talk about to the ladies that are listening out here who come from backgrounds where there's stigma around therapy or getting support. Why do you think it's so important for women to get support to move through these barriers and these blocks?
Definitely. It's really difficult to take that first step, but it's so important because getting support from a person outside of your immediate circle that has no investment in what choices you make allows you to fully be yourself,
Mhm.
right? So whomever is working with me, when they come to me, hey, if you want to make a quote unquote bad choice that is going to have not the most positive consequences, I can mirror back for you of like, hey, you are choosing this. Are you okay with that? But I'm not going to say, oh, don't do that. That's a bad idea. Or, for a lot of people, they'll come in and be like, should I leave this person? I'm just like, I don't know. What do you think? And so it gives you the space and time and permission to make your decisions with another person right there who will completely be very supportive and back you in whatever you want to do. And that means that if you come back next time, you say, you know what, I made a completely different decision. That's great. Let's talk about that. But it gives you a mirror without intruding on your ability to make choices for yourself.
Right. Well, that's beautiful. I want you to tell us how do people find you and your work? And do you work online as well as in person?
Definitely. So the program is all online. We have a community in an app called Telegram. So a lot of interaction goes on in there where we go back and forth and women have questions and I answer those questions or other women will chime in and say, "Hey, I've had this happen. This is what I've done." But the quickest way to find me is on Instagram, which is backtoself.healing. And so all of my things are linked there. But if you're needing a site, it's just my name, margaritakogan.com. And a lot of my information is there as well for Honor and Heal and private practice.
Well, that's beautiful. And for those of you listening, it's Margaritakogan. Don't want you to miss her. So I asked the same last question of anyone on this show. This show is called Women Awakening.
Mhm.
What do you think is the most important reason for women awakening on the planet in this moment?
So I think right now there's a lot of events going on that can really show how unbalanced things are. I think women innately have a divine gift of making the world truly a beautiful and peaceful place filled with love. And I think we're missing a lot of that. Like there's a lot of anger and just a lot of disagreements, et cetera. And that's always been happening. But I feel women used to be a lot gentler with themselves. And when they were gentler with themselves, they then were able to spread that love and kindness towards other people. And now I feel we are really missing that piece of taking care of ourselves, knowing who we are. And because we keep striving for all these other things, we're not able to spread that love and kindness and support that we so all of us need. So I think really that is the most important thing of coming back to yourself, learning who you are so that you can spread it to the rest of the world and kind of help us balance things out a little bit.
Margarita, I couldn't agree with you more. I just feel like the world could use a little more of the divine feminine energy to bring us back to love and harmony and grace and peace. And I'm so grateful that you're doing this work and that women can come to you to experience how to move past their trauma. Is there any last thing you'd like to say to the women?
Yeah, I think, wherever women are, every step counts, right? So sometimes people get really frustrated when they're trying to heal and the stuff keeps coming back and they feel like, oh, didn't I already work through this? But every step has layers. And so just acknowledging the small steps that you make every day to honor yourself and kind of show up for yourself, you'll reach the capacity where you rise into that wholeness. It doesn't happen overnight. It is a stepping stone process, and you can't skip the steps. So just stick with it and really just show up for yourself.
Margarita, thank you. I'm so grateful that you've been here and that you're so committed to helping women honor where they've been and heal into a new way of being. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Cynthia.
All right, everybody. I hope you were listening to Margarita because she said something beautiful. She said, that you're a gift. You're a divine gift. You're here for a reason. And so the clearer and the stronger and the more powerful you are, the more that you get to stand in grace. So I want to thank you for joining this amazing conversation on Women Awakening. And I hope you feel touched and encouraged and reminded of the incredible power and light that lives within you. The stories here are just invitations to awaken your own voice, your own mission, and your own unique gifts in this world. I'm going to remind you to please subscribe, share these episodes with women in your life, and leave a review because it helps us bring more extraordinary voices to this platform. Please don't forget that there are full video episodes on YouTube. You search for Women Awakening with Cynthia James. So until the next time that we're together, I want you to please remember that I love you, that I hold for you, that you continue to rise and shine and awaken to the fullness of who you've come here to be. Very grateful. Many blessings.